We've got some interesting matchups this weekend. I'm looking forward to it, and I know y'all ready. So let's talk about it. 7-7 Talk Sports. Let's go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to 7-7 Talk Sports. I am your host, Derico Gaither, and we had an unexpected bye week last week due to the tropical storm that came through and hit most parts of the southeast and everything. So I just want to first start off this show by saying, my prayers up to anyone that was affected by Hurricane Helene. I know it caused some major damage in a lot of areas and whatnot, and some people did lose their lives. So I just want to first just send my thoughts and prayers to those, personnel, the people out there who may have lost someone during, that unfortunate storm. But yeah, we're back. We're going to jump right on into this thing, man. We're going to start off by talking about a couple of games here in the college football world this weekend that I think there are a couple of games that are kind of going under the radar. And one of the first games that I want to dive into, I want to talk about the matchup on Saturday with number 9 Missouri going to Cal Field to take on the number 25 Texas A&M Aggies. Now, this game is going to be real interesting, and the reason why I say that is because when I look at this matchup, this is going to be a classic case of offense versus defense and which one is going to come out on top. So when you look at Missouri likes to throw the football all over the field, right? They have a great wide receiver in Burden. I believe his name is Luther Burden, if I'm not mistaken, who a lot of people say that he may be the first wide receiver taken off the board in this upcoming NFL draft. And so, but when I look at Missouri has been they've been kind of skating by a little bit in some games. Vanderbilt took them to the limit earlier this year and everything early in the season, but they were able to do what they needed to do. But I think this is going to be a different animal. Going down to Texas A&M, and going to Kyle Allen Field, let me say it that way. And, you're going to be playing in front of probably about 107,000 people. And that 12th man is going to be a major advantage for Texas A&M. Now, you got to give Texas A&M a lot of love. I think they're flying under the radar with a lot of teams, from a lot of people because they lost their opening game to Notre Dame 23-13. But that was a very defensive battle type game, and when you look at Texas A&M right now, Texas A&M, if I'm not mistaken, they're only giving up 16, 17 points a game. So, their defense is playing outstanding. And I just think at the end of the day, I think that Texas A&M is they're going to make plays. I think this is going to be a very low scoring game. And I like Texas A&M with the home field advantage to come out on top and take this game, which will be, with some pundits will look at it and say that this is going to be an upset. But I like Texas A&M in this ball game. I really do, surprisingly. I think Texas A&M is going to do what they need to do. They're going to make plays. They're going to run the football, and they're going to let their defense, make the plays and do what they need to do. I think it's going to be a game of field position. Just field position and just time of possession, which I think is going to really play in Texas A&M's favor because, like I said, Missouri, they like to get up and down, and that now don't get it twisted. Missouri likes to run the football too. Don't get it twisted. But I just think that Texas A&M is going to make, just enough plays to upset Missouri at home and everything. So I like Texas A&M in that ball game. The other game I want to talk about is number 12, Ole Miss coming to play South Carolina at Bryce Williams Stadium on Saturday. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Coming into this, I've never really been big on Ole Miss because I've never been really big on Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin gets, he's a great offensive mind. Don't get me wrong. Lane Kiffin is a great offensive mind. But I'm still waiting on Lane Kiffin as a head coach to show you that signature win, that very big signature win. And so a lot of times with Lane Kiffin, he can put his teams can put the points up on the board. They can go up and down the field. They can do, just about anything that they want to. But then when they match up against defensive stalwarts, it's just that it's like that their tires are just spinning in the mud, and they can't really move the football up and down the field like they would want to. And that was evident last week in the loss against Kentucky. When you watch Kentucky, Kentucky's defense is something to be is something serious, because Kentucky really should have gave Georgia their first L of the year. That L should have came before Alabama gave Georgia their first L. And when you look at it, it was a very head scratching call on why the head coach decided that he wanted to go for it on fourth down instead of, or not go for it on fourth down instead of punting the football. And that cost his ball club, that cost Kentucky the game. And Georgia ended up squeaking up and getting out of there with a 13-12 win. But in this game this week, I'm gonna be honest with you. I like South Carolina because their defense reminds me a lot of Kentucky's defense. So, and you saw how Ole Miss struggled last week with Kentucky at home, playing while Ole Miss was playing in their own backyard. So I think that Bryce Williams Stadium will be, they're gonna be rocking and rolling and everything on Saturday. And I really like South Carolina. And I kind of feel as if like South Carolina may win this game by anywhere between I'm looking at they may win by 10 or more, because I think what they're going to want to do, what Shane Beamer and the boys are going to want to do, they are going to want to wear down Ole Miss and basically just let their defense do what they need to do, but they're going to make plays. Now, I do have questions about the quarterback position for South Carolina. Robbie Ashford, who was a Auburn transfer, like he can run the football, and he can throw it, but his accuracy is not where he wants it to be. So, but I don't know if Robbie is going to get the start this week or if South Carolina is going to go back to their original starter. But I know the original starter has been dealing with he's been dealing with some injuries. So that's yet to be determined. But I do like South Carolina to win this ball game on Saturday, and in another upset, because South Carolina is currently unranked, and but I think they should be ranked because their only loss of the season was against LSU in a 36-33 thriller. And when you look at what South Carolina did to Kentucky earlier in the year, they smashed Kentucky. They beat Kentucky 31-6. So I really like, South Carolina to beat Ole Miss in what, people will say as an upset. And I really think this is really going to put a deep dash, just a deep cut in Ole Miss playoff hopes, because when you look after today's game, Ole Miss has, they still got they got three very tough road games, not road games, but they got three very tough games coming up. And so for a team that was held, that a lot of people picked that was going to be one of the 12 teams in the college football playoff, it's very realistic that by the time the month of October is complete, that Ole Miss could be a 4-4 ball club, and their playoff chances are right out the window. And then you're going to start to hear the cries for, depending on how the situation plays out in Florida, hey, let's get Lane Kiffin down here to Florida because, he's a better head coach than Billy Napier. But, that's a conversation that we'll have for another day. Now I want to talk a little bit about Auburn football. So my question about Auburn football right now is, what direction are we going? Now, I asked that question because recruiting wise, Hugh Freeze and his staff, they're doing an outstanding job recruiting wise. But Auburn is a team that just really has you scratching your head when you think about them. They've played their first 5 games at home. And, on one hand, you could say Auburn should clearly be 5-0 going into their matchup this weekend on the road in Athens against Georgia. But the thing that's killed Auburn has been they're turning the football over. They are turning the football over at an alarming rate. And then it also makes you wonder, why is Auburn playing so undisciplined? It's like the mistakes are happening at the wrong time. In the game last week against Oklahoma, right? Peyton Thorne played his best game as an Auburn Tiger. And I've told y'all before, I'm not a big Peyton Thorne believer, but he played his best game as an Auburn Tiger. He threw for over 300 yards, but what happened? Peyton Thorne threw one of the worst picks I've ever seen, because what Brent Venables did in his defense with Oklahoma, he showed a cover zero blitz. And for y'all who don't know what a cover zero blitz is, that's when they basically have everybody lined up like they're coming in the blitz, and you got man-on-man coverage on the outside. And what happened was they faked the cover zero and they dropped the linebackers back. So when Peyton Thorne came up to the line of scrimmage, he read blitz. But what happened as soon as he dropped back to pass, the linebackers dropped back and Peyton Thorne threw off of his back foot. He was never set. And he basically just gift wrapped the ball and gave it right to the middle linebacker, Lewis, who scored. And that just really that broke Auburn's hearts. So, Auburn is a team that I'm just really trying to understand, what direction are we going? And that's what makes it so frustrating, because the talent is there. So you have to start asking yourself, hey, is it coaching, or is it the scheme, or is it do the players just not know how to win? And all of that, once again, comes back on coaching, because in order for you to win a championship, you've got to learn how to win ball games. And the thing that's been with Auburn for way too many years, it's been, well, Auburn doesn't know how to close out. They don't know how to win games. They make the untimely mistakes when they shouldn't be making them. So I don't have a good feeling, but I'm War Eagle till I die. I don't have a good feeling about this week's games against Georgia, because I found it very disrespectful from the start when the season started. Well, I'm sorry, during the offseason, when the schedule came out and Georgia scheduled Auburn for their homecoming. And, that says what Georgia feels about Auburn. But I just don't know. It's a rivalry game, so I really don't know what to expect. If you know the history of Georgia and Auburn, these games have always had some type of crazy ending, or, something that happens that was unexpected. So we'll see. We'll really see. But Auburn's really got to turn this thing around, because they're a team that's right there. But it's just it's the little things that's coming back and that's biting Auburn in their butts at the end of the game. So but yeah, so that's my take for this weekend's games on a college level, because it's not really a lot of, marquee games that are out there. Well, no, let me apologize, y'all. I apologize. Let me talk about one more before we go to the pro games and whatnot. Another game that I really have my eyes set on a little bit is that, and they play very late Saturday night. That's Miami flying across the country to play Cal. So, I had a chance to watch Cal once they beat Auburn, but they were aided by the 5 picks that Peyton threw in that game. Cal really didn't jump out at you as a defensive juggernaut, but they play really good sound football. So, and when you look at Miami, of course Miami is led by an early look, an early pick as a Heisman Trophy candidate in Cam Ward, who's just been playing unbelievable football. But last week, Miami was able to, and some people say that they received an early Christmas present in the win against Virginia Tech, which they say that they should not have won that ball game, but hey, a win is a win. So it's going to be interesting, because if you've never taken that flight from the west to the east, or the east to the west, or the south to the west, that's a long flight. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Hurricanes handle this, and playing at the game is at 10:30 Eastern time, so their bodies are it's just you just wonder, how will Miami be able to deal with that. Now I'm not calling for an upset on this, but I think this game might be a little sluggish on both parts. And I think Miami will make just enough plays because they have the X factor in Cam Ward. But I think Miami will win this one. But that is another interesting game that I'm going to have, my eyes on for Saturday and for the college football slate. So now I want to turn to Sunday's game, and I'm looking at two games that's jumping out at me a little bit. First one I want to talk about is the Buffalo Bills traveling to Houston to take on Josh Allen. Please forgive me. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills traveling to Houston to take on C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans in a battle of two 3-1 football teams. I think this is going to be a very good matchup because I love what D'Amico Ryans is doing, of course, as a head coach, and I love what he's doing, defensively with Houston. And C.J. Stroud, I think, is an outstanding quarterback. I think C.J. Stroud is going to he's that dude. He's really that dude, and he's only in his second year. But I like this game because even when you look at Josh Allen, so Josh Allen for Buffalo, I'm hearing a lot of people say that he's an early, for the first month of the season that's wrapped up, he's an early MVP candidate. And believe it or not, Josh Allen, who was prone to turning the football over, has thrown for 7 touchdowns against 0 interceptions after the first 4 games. Now, Buffalo did not look well when they played, like Baltimore really put it on them when they played last week. And I think I'm really looking forward to this. Now I'm interested to see how Buffalo will bounce. If Buffalo will be able to bounce back. But I'm going to go with Houston because I think Houston playing at home. I like Houston to win this ball game, and I like for C.J. Stroud. I think C.J. Stroud is going to have a really big day. I really do. And then, of course, you got the other side. You got the other storyline of this where you have Stephon Diggs, who will be playing against Buffalo, and for all the y'all who knows, Buffalo traded Stephon Diggs to Houston in the offseason. So of course, Stephon Diggs is he's looking forward to some big payback. Let's say it that way. I think Stephon Diggs may be in line for a big game because whenever you going up against your old ball club, you want to show them, hey, y'all made a mistake and y'all should not have let me go. So I like Houston in this one. Another game I'm looking at, is want to talk about two teams that that have historical references and everything, and that's the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night traveling to Pittsburgh to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, I am a Cowboys fan, yes, but I don't know how this game is going to turn out because again, Dallas has so many deficiencies right now. And when you look at the game that they played against the Giants last week, if Daniel Jones makes a lot of those throws and hits those wide receivers, the Giants would have beat Dallas last week because Dallas doesn't have a running game. Defensively, we've taken some hits with DeMarcus Lawrence, who's out, if I'm not mistaken, 4 to 8 weeks. And Micah Parsons, his status is still up in the air as we speak, so we don't know if Parsons is going to play, but I will be really surprised if he does play. on on Sunday night. But if he does, how effective will he be? Because he's been walking around in a in a walking boot dealing with his ankle. But the biggest problem, one of the two biggest problems that I see with Dallas, though, number one, Dallas can't run the football on the offensive side. They just cannot run the football. Now they had the opportunity to sign Derrick Henry. They chose not to do it. They decided to bring back Ezekiel Elliott. For what reasons, I have no idea. I don't know if this is going to be looked at as Zeke's swan song. I don't know what it is, but it's just not panning out. And then when you look at throwing the football, of course, everybody's going to circle CeeDee Lamb because they understand you've got to take CeeDee Lamb out the game because Dallas doesn't really have a number two right now, right? So, and when you're looking at Pittsburgh with their defense, Pittsburgh's defense is something serious. So, if I'm not mistaken, Pittsburgh might have the number one defense in the league right now. Their defense, they are something serious. And so you already know their game plan is going to be they want to either possibly have CeeDee Lamb being blanketed by a corner and a safety. So where is Dak going to go with the football? And we can't have Dak turning the football over, which he is prone to do. So and then going back to the Pittsburgh side, Justin Fields has been playing some really good football. He really has. So once again, you got to ask yourself, was Justin Fields the problem while he was in Chicago? Or was it a little bit of it all? And the organization just tried to make Justin Fields out to be the fall guy. Because Justin Fields has been playing some really good football as a starting quarterback so far this year with Pittsburgh. So, but in this game here, man, even though I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I like Pittsburgh to win this game. I think Pittsburgh is just going to wear Dallas down, both defensively, and they're going to run the football down Dallas' throat because once again, Dallas cannot seem to find a formula of stopping the run. You brought Mike Zimmer in after Dan Quinn left and went to Washington as the new head coach of the Commanders, and he's doing a phenomenal job, by the way. And Jaden Daniels, I'm going to say this to everyone again. Jaden Daniels was the best quarterback in the draft last year. Jaden Daniels was the best quarterback in the draft. I know a lot of people are big on Caleb Williams, but I'm sorry. Jaden Daniels is that guy. So yeah, those are my two games and everything out of in the NFL because again, when you look at some other games that's on the schedule and everything this week, coming into when you look at the games in the off season, they would have jumped out at you and you would have said, okay, yeah, that's going to be a big matchup when they get ready to play. But it just hasn't really lived up to that, and one of the games, speaking of that, in that category, this week you have Baltimore going against Cincinnati. So coming into the in the off season, I would have said that, hey, both of these teams might be undefeated by the time they get ready to play each other. And we've seen how that's gone. Baltimore has won. They started out 0-2. They've won their last two straight games, and here's Cincinnati coming in at 1-3. So this is kind of a do or die, really, for both teams, to be honest with you. Because if you're Cincinnati, you've already dug yourself a hole coming in at 1-3. You don't want to go to 1-4 as we get ready to start the second month of the season. That's just not what you want to do. So another thing I want to talk about, I want to switch gears now, and I want to show the women out there some love, the women ball players out there some love in the WNBA. Now, man, let me tell y'all something. I don't know if y'all been paying attention to the WNBA playoffs, but the WNBA semifinal playoff round right now is beautiful basketball to watch. I'm going to say that for y'all one more time. The WNBA semifinal playoff rounds right now featuring the Minnesota Lynx against the Connecticut Sun in one series and the Las Vegas Aces against the New York Liberty in the other series is beautiful basketball to watch. I watched the Aces and Liberty. Actually, I watched both games the other night, and I'm telling you, physical on both sides, right? Very physical, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And honestly, it reminded me when watching it, it reminded me of some of those, some of the late 90s games and everything when you would watch just the physicality on the NBA side of how physical these women were balling and everything. So, I like both series and everything right now, but I want to start off with the two-time defending champion Las Vegas Aces, who were trying to become only the second team in the history of the WNBA to win three straight championships. Because the first one was the Houston Comets when they won four straight when the WNBA first started. But right now, the Aces, it just seems like that the Liberty that they have the Aces number. Now, they've beaten them, if I'm not mistaken, the last 4 or 5 straight games. And the Aces just can't. It seems like the issue from what I see, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I'm seeing, it's the guard play. So Sabrina Ionescu is really the guard for the New York Liberty. She is really controlling this ball. She's really controlling this series, right? And when you look on the Aces side, you look at it that Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Chelsea Gray, they really haven't dominated as far as a three-head lineup go when you're talking about those three guards, because all three of them are capable of scoring 30 points by themselves. That's just how phenomenally talented all three are. But the Liberty have done such an outstanding job guarding them, and it kind of looks like a little bit like they're wearing them down somewhat. And of course, you have, when you talk about the Aces, you have the MVP who won her unanimous MVP in Asia Wilson. And shout out to Miss Asia Wilson and congratulations for winning her third MVP. But Asia Wilson, she's not touching the ball enough. Like you can't have your MVP only with maybe 6 field goal attempts in the first half. Asia Wilson is going to have to touch the ball somewhere between, I'm going to say 20 to 25 times. She's going to have to put up that many shots because now you're one game away from elimination, right? And so, New York did what they needed to do on their home court. And again, it's just been beautiful basketball to watch. So now you have game 3 happening in Vegas. And I like the Aces to pull out game 3. And we'll see if they can fight to live another day, here after playing this game 3 and whatnot. But right now the Liberty are just they're really just defensively, they're getting after them. And it kind of looks like they're starting to wear the Aces down a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. In the other semifinal series, you have the Minnesota Lynx against the Connecticut Sun. And again, just beautiful basketball to watch. You got two teams that love to get after you defensively. And it's been a great battle with Elisa Thomas for the Connecticut Sun, and also against oh my God, man, Nafisa Collier for the Minnesota Lynx. So they've really been going back and forth. I mean, like you see both teams. If you come across that paint, you gonna pay the price if you're trying to check somebody on the screen. If you're trying to pin somebody and have them curl and go down, you're gonna catch that one as well too. So this has been a great series. Now that series is tied at one game apiece, and they have game 3, and that game 3 is going to be in Connecticut as well too. So really looking forward to that. Like I said, y'all, hey, this 7-7 Talk Sports, and hey, we're gonna talk that sports. So, and like I said, hey, you guys need to go out and support the WNBA, man, because it's beautiful basketball to watch. It truly is. It is beautiful basketball to watch. So that's all I have for this week. Again, hey, I just want to thank y'all for the support, the likes, the shares, and everything. Y'all holler at me, man, if y'all want to come on and hey, let's talk sports. And again, as I started off the show, I just want to send my thoughts and prayers again to everyone who may have been affected by Hurricane Helene and everything. And I just pray that for everybody's safety and everything. And our inspirational words for this week, it's always going to be the same, guys. Continue to put one foot forward in life and keep moving forward. And God got the rest. Keep that faith up and put that work in. Hey, man, 7-7 Talk Sports, man. We gone. Y'all holla at your boy. Much love, y'all. I'm out.